All right, everyone. It's straight up 2:30, so we're just gonna go ahead and get started. Looks like everyone was on the call that needed to be here. So, the slides went out of control there for a second. All right, welcome everyone. Thanks for coming to our presentation this afternoon. My name is Parker Tankersley. I'm the project manager for this team. Just a quick overview of who's on the call today, who's been working on this project so hard for the past year. We've got Remy, Kirk, Grayson, Lee, Alyssa, Roth, and Jacob Underhill. For the past year, we've had the privilege of working with JB Hunt, specifically with their 360 box service, which is a service that allows them to pair their trailers with third-party carriers. Specifically, we worked with our industry partners, Matt Turner and Alyssa Daniel, who both work as logistics engineers for the 360 box program. We were approached for this project to help them address the issues of balancing the flow of trailers between customer markets utilizing this service in North America. And we did this by predicting customer compliance and seasonality using a variety of methods that we'll get into here a little bit later.
Yeah, so just a little background on our industry partners. JB Hunt is a transportation and logistics company based out of Lowell, Arkansas, with nearly 60 years of industry excellence. They're responsible for the logistics and shipping of customer products over a diverse transportation network that can span from the United States to Mexico to Canada. What started out as a small family-owned trucking company has continued to embrace innovative thinking and technology. Their 8 different sectors of shipping allow them to more specifically adapt their company to a wide range of customers. Within the past 5 years, JB Hunt has begun to utilize and integrate new technologies that help pair their shippers and their carriers together. This commitment to a continual company evolution has allowed JB Hunt to be able to capitalize on their growth and see their revenue grow by nearly 40% since implementing these new tools. Bringing in over $9 billion of revenue in 2019 alone, they appear as number 346 on the prestigious Fortune 500 list. Whether acting as the primary source of transportation or a liaison between the shipper and the carrier, their goal is to get a predetermined number of products from one destination to another as efficiently as possible while maintaining focus on each customer's unique needs.
Yeah, so across the transportation industry, as described in the article, Operational Flexibility in the Trucking Industry, currently companies face the challenge of reducing empty miles, which is the transportation of an empty trailer to the next destination with no profit, and the need to increase driver productivity in lieu of their reduction of drivers. So motivated by the need to better utilize their resources, increase productivity, and expand their network capacity, JB Hunt created 360 Box. So 360 Box is the combination of the existing integrated capacity solutions and truckload, allowing for the use of an online marketplace platform to maneuver truckloads accordingly. And as 360 Box implements a hub format, it can accommodate their growing high volume networks surrounding it with even more capacity and more route flexibility. So 360 Box focuses on the use of the trailer, allowing for interchangeable third-party or domestic power units, and following drop and hook trailer procedures displayed on the right, the driver can pick up a load, transport it to the destination, drop off the load, and move their truck onto the next load. This minimizes overall wait time between loads, empty miles, and operational costs while increasing driver productivity. The 360 Box is also compatible with JB Hunt's marketplace platform, allowing for easier communication between carriers and shippers when exchanging loads.
Yeah, so as Remy just mentioned, 360 Box is compatible with JB Hunt's marketplace platform. JB Hunt will upload customer award information, which we'll touch on a bit later, to this load board that's on their online platform. And from that load board, third-party carriers can go ahead and assess their availability and essentially grab specific freight at a set rate or even bid with other carriers on it. So after JB Hunt assesses those third-party carrier options, they'll then go ahead and determine if another company can ship a client's freight at a lower cost to them. Though shipping through a third party doesn't eliminate all costs to JB Hunt, it definitely has the potential to save them money and ultimately creates a greater profit on those awarded lanes. So once JB Hunt offers the load to a third-party carrier, the carrier can then accept it through their online platform called Carrier 360. and then go ahead and inform the driver of their new task. While awarded volume for 360 box trailers is not always shipped by third-party carriers, as sometimes it is cheaper for JB Hunt to use their own power, the ability to utilize third-party carriers opens the door for JB Hunt to move freight more efficiently and cost-effectively. So this map on the screen is meant to show how this process works throughout the US. Each trailer is transported by either JB Hunt or third-party trucks, which is shown by the different truck colors. Those 360 box trailers are staged at different customer lots across the country, shown by the blue dots, and multiple customer lots together make up a single market, as shown by those black circles. These markets typically enclose small, densely populated parts of the country, such as Chicago or Dallas, or larger, less populated locations like the entire state of Wyoming. And finally, a large group of markets in one geographic area of the country is a region, with the map shown here showing the Midwest region.
So in order for these customers to purchase the work of JB Hunt, they go through a bidding process. And all of these decisions made when it comes to bids are made in regards to this idea of a lane. The term lane is used to mark a predetermined origin and destination location. So for example, if I'm a customer and I'm shipping freight from Fayetteville, Arkansas to Atlanta, Georgia, then I would say I'm shipping over that specific lane. The bidding process begins as shown in the top left. This is when the bid opens. This is when the customer sends a file with all of their projected loads and respective volumes to be priced by 360 box. At this point, the pricing team and managers work together to decide how much they should be charging the customer to move that freight. Once that price is set, it's returned to the customer through a bid submission. This is where the customer has the ultimate decision on how much freight they want to purchase from JB Hunt. Once that decision is made, the award itself is issued, and the contract is passed on to the operations team, where they can actually move the freight throughout the contract. And of course, during the course of the contract, JB Hunt is always monitoring these to make adjustments that are going to best help serve the customer and 360 box.
So since JB Hunt's goal is to reduce the imbalance of inbound and outbound flow of containers, it's really important to understand the underlying causes of these imbalances. So in some of our early meetings with Matt and Alyssa from JB Hunt, they laid out plenty of these causes and explained how the unpredictability of the transportation industry impacts 360 box. Some main points of concern from our industry partners were the inaccurate seasonality predictions and inaccurate compliance predictions for a customer. JB Hunt staff really rely on these values in order to allocate trailers to various hubs. So our goal is to help them more accurately predict these values.
Yeah, expanding a bit more on the issues laid out by Remy and kind of the process laid out by Grayson. JB Hunt operations managers utilize the information gained through the award process or through the bid process to ensure the balance of trailers is consistent between markets. This is done so that customer need can be fulfilled adequately, but often the case with most JB Hunt customers is their awarded volume is not always fulfilled. This is what's known as customer compliance. It's not uncommon for customers to do this. This is often the case for most shippers utilizing JB Hunt services. So for example, if a customer had originally contracted to move 100 loads throughout the course of the year, and only 70 of these loads would needed to be moved, that customer would receive a compliance rating of 70% for the award in question. Average compliance for JB Hunt customers sits somewhere between 50 and 70%. Moving on to seasonality, it is kind of what it sounds like, but each customer comes to the table with their own version of their seasonality. So they experiences influxes of volume throughout the year in certain months, depending on the commodities they ship and other factors that we'll get into later. But for example, if a customer was heavily inserted into the Christmas light business or something, they might expect to see heavier traffic in the fall and winter months compared to the rest of the year. So currently JB Hunt relies fairly heavily on previous customer actions to see what they might do in the future in regard to their own personal seasonality. But combining these two issues together, inaccurate predictions for either one of these result in increased deadhead miles, which is the number of miles that a tractor runs to pick up an empty trailer that would then need to be transported to a customer lot to be filled. It also increases the number of empty miles subsequently that would need to be traveled with that empty trailer, which is obviously not gaining JB Hunt any money because we're not moving any loads for a customer. And putting both of those together, that's just more time spent on deliveries for each customer, which we're obviously trying to decrease as much as possible.
Yeah, so continuing on, our primary method in determining the system performance of 360box is customer market trailer balance. So this is calculated by subtracting the total number of inbound trailers into markets from the total number of outbound trailers. If the resulting value is positive, then there is an overage of trailers in that market. On the contrary, if the value is negative, then there is a shortage of trailers in the specified market, resulting in more empty miles needed to redistribute containers to that market. So maintaining a balanced market is ideal for the 360box system, allowing JB Hunt to minimize expenses, labor, and empty miles when maneuvering trailers between locations in order to rebalance the market and focus as previously discussed.
Yeah, so through analyzing the inbound and outbound freight from all 99 markets for 2018, we found that on average, only 31 of these markets balance each month. So the chart shown here on the left illustrates the percentage of these markets that ended each month perfectly balanced, which is shown in green, overstocked, which is shown in blue, and understocked, which is shown in black. We've also highlighted the balance of the top 10 JB Hunt markets shown on the right in a similar fashion. So for those markets that did not balance, there was an average overstocking of about 72 trailers per month and understocking of 66 trailers per month. As the year progresses, the total cumulative balance within a market can become increasingly difficult to correct as they frequently over or understock as much as 400 trailers per month. One major factor that affects the market balance is customer volume compliance. With compliance averaging between 50 to 70% across all JB Hunt customers, it can be difficult to determine if a market will stay balanced over the course of the year.
Yeah, so like Jacob just mentioned, compliance is a large area of concern for JB Hunt since the average compliance for awarded bids is about 50 to 70%. The current system they use to predict the flow of freight is mitigated by word of mouth prescriptions as well as tribal knowledge from experienced JB Hunt employees, such as pricing managers. So experienced employees work with a lot of the same customers, so they would typically have an idea as to how that customer operates in terms of compliance. So for instance, whether or not that customer would be over average compliance, under, or right in the middle for that awarded time period. Their input can definitely help get a better understanding of how to balance certain markets. However, it's not really something that JB Hunt wants to rely on in the future. So this graph provided on the left shows the average compliance throughout 2018 for the top 10 markets that saw the most throughput or volume that year. The other component you can see in this chart is that horizontal green bar, which represents the current average compliance for the system, so about that 50 to 70% compliance range. And as you can see, the average compliance for most of these markets does fall in or near that range. Even though this is what's expected of the system, it's still not ideal because there can still be a lot of uncertainty within each of those individual markets throughout the year. So the inability to accurately predict compliance is a driving factor in whether or not a hub or a market is going to stay balanced throughout that year. The second graph that's on the right of the screen shows the monthly balance for market CH or Chicago. So as shown in the first graph, market CH did perform below the expected average compliance for markets. This then translated to market CH having a consistent overstock in trailers in most months throughout 2018. So if a market performs below expected compliance, essentially meaning they aren't shipping as much freight as they anticipated, it would make sense for them to be overstocked in trailers the majority of the year.
Thanks, Allie. Yeah, as previously mentioned, JB Hunt supports a wide variety of customers, each bringing to the table their own form of seasonality. Seasonality being determined, again, by the commodities they're shipping or the industries they're doing most of their dealings in. So currently, similar to compliance, seasonality on customers is accounted for, again, by tribal knowledge held within JB Hunt and word of mouth prescriptions. This information is held on various databases across the JB Hunt teams, some being just Excel and OneNote notebooks, and it can often be inconsistent across teams if there's different data sources for each one. But what we can see here on the screen are two of the most active marketplaces for the 360 box service. Specifically, we have here on the left Market FI, which is a surrounding market, looks to be in Southern California, probably around LA somewhere. And then we also have Market CH, which is of course Chicago. But it's important to note here, if we look here on the left, we can see overstockings of trailers on a monthly level as high as 180 trailers, and we can see understockings as low as 80 trailers. And it's important to point out that sometimes these are done strategically by operations managers if they expect influxes or shortages of trailers due to certain customers. But other times, this is a resulting factor from seasonal influxes or seasonal demand by customers within this market, causing the imbalances. But we can see between the two markets, these imbalances don't occur at the same time, nor at the same level of severity. And this is most likely attributed to, again, the differences in goods and stuff shipped by customers in these two markets. Market FI primarily was shipping household goods from the data that we had. In Market CH, primarily dealt in food products. So one can imagine there's a different level of demand for each one of those as we go throughout the year. And we can also go ahead and state that a more effective tool for predicting seasonality of customers is needed as compared to their current method of just word of mouth prescriptions. So,
up until this point, our team has really been focusing in on this idea of compliance and seasonality, and more importantly, what these values mean when it comes to balancing these trailer networks for 360 box. The beginning of this spring is when our project really began to shift. We received a large data set from 360 box that contained all of the freight that they had shipped from 2016 to present. So with this data, we set out with the goals to build models and forecasts to be able to accurately predict customer seasonality and customer compliance. An example of what we wanted to see in seasonality is shown in the top right. This is again looking at when a customer has been moving freight in the past and using that to forecast when we think they're going to be moving freight on future contracts. And then just below that, very similar, looking at historical compliance for a customer and using statistics to forecast what we believe the compliance of that customer will be on future contracts.
Yeah, so the first, I guess, kind of problem that we encountered was the lack of a single data set that included all of the relevant information we needed. We were given a bunch of really big Excel files that really made it hard to find corresponding awarded volume information, ordered volume information, and then customer national account numbers. So to be able to forecast any of the compliance percentages across 360 box, we had to find a way to tie all of that information together. Our method of doing this was the creation of a unique key for each customer lane. So this consisted of combining a customer's national account number, the origin zip code, and the destination zip code into one overarching identifying number. As you can see in the example we have shown here on the right, we've illustrated the key for a trailer traveling from Howard, Pennsylvania to Columbus, Ohio for a particular customer. Using keys just like the one we have shown here, we were able to identify all the historical customer compliance information from 2016 to 2021 and really begin the process of actually creating our models.
Yeah, thanks, Jacob. So kind of expanding more on what he just said, creating our model. We began that here in the second semester by consulting with one of our professors here in the industrial engineering department, Dr. Chimka. He suggested that we start by creating a multiple linear regression model, reading in features contained within the data set that Jacob just went over in the last slide. So that's what we did. We did this by utilizing Excel's data analysis tools just for iterative models as we were beginning to understand what the the important features were, as well as mini tab as we got more into the detail-oriented things in the models and wanted to get a deeper look into it. But what we can see here on the screen is our final multiple linear regression model resulting from our again, iterative models. So what it is predicting is the number of orders that this model predicts to be fulfilled on an award in question by the customer that's associated with that award. So starting off, just reading through the different features it's reading in, we've got a constant, that X sub n, which is a constant dependent on a combination of commodity categories shipped by the customer in question. Our team found that the majority of orders shipped by customers utilizing this service fell into one of three categories or multiple. We have food and food products, we have farm products, and we also have beverage and bottle products. And so depending on if a customer ships one, two, or all three, that results in a different constant value for that X sub n. Moving down, we've got the dollar per miles assigned to the award in question. So just how much money JB Hunt is charging this customer per mile traveled with a load in that trailer. And moving down, we've got this V sub n, which is the awarded volume that customer provided, so the amount of volume they anticipate to ship throughout the year. Moving down, we've got the lanes associated with that customer that are also contracted with JB Hunt. So we use this as a relative size gauge for the customer in question to see if that had any bearing on high or low compliance for the award. And then finally, we have the customer estimated distance in miles on that lane. So just how many miles that customer anticipates the route to be. So this model resulted, after we finessed it for a little bit, we resulted in an R-squared value of 57%, which means that this model could explain 57% of the variations seen within the data set that Jacob just went over. And this is we were fairly happy with this, considering we created this data set from a bunch of various sources. So this was a great stepping stone for us, but we felt we could improve this slightly. So I'm going to hand it to Remy, and she's going to explain how we did that.
Yeah, thanks, Parker. So as you mentioned, we were hoping to explore new ways to improve our multiple linear regression model and possibly implement machine learning. So we consulted Dr. Liu about this and ended up using random forest regression in our code to predict customer compliance. In the process of fine-tuning our model, we did feature selection based on feature importance and impact on the overall prediction. And by doing so, we discovered that the features that Parker just mentioned, commodity type, dollar per mile, award volume, associated lanes, and customer features, were the most valuable in predicting expected customer orders. And then during model development, we ended up creating 3 different iterations, eventually landing on our final model that included the dollar per mile information that we got later and defined splits, which was also recommended by Dr. Liu, eventually achieving an R-squared of 65%. When presented to JB Hunt, this was accepted and they approved of this, but they did mention the need for this model to be available in both Python and R code. So by using the Databricks software, we were able to make this code available in both languages. We've also found out that our model provided a 27% improvement in mean absolute percent error when predicting compliance of 2018 customers compared to the current compliance prediction methods.
All right, so along with the compliance values that Parker and Remy just walked us through, our team understood the importance of being able to accurately forecast this idea of seasonality. And again, seasonality is understanding which months out of the year a customer is moving freight. In order to do this, our team decided to use Holt-Winters method, which we knew we could use that would account for the seasonality in these large data sets. So on the screen here is an example of our Winters method tool, and I'd love to walk you through it. Starting in the top left, we have our customer search function. This is where the user at 360 Box is able to enter the national account number, the origin zip code, and the destination zip code. And this concatenates to create the key that Jacob introduced to us earlier. Just below that, we have 2 years of our initialization data. So for our tool here, this is our 2016 and 2017 data. And this is what initializes Winters method and gets it started. Just to the right of that, we have our testing and adjustments phase. So this is using 1 year of data where we're going to be optimizing our smoothing constants of alpha, beta, and gamma to reduce the mean squared error. This step really tunes and optimizes the model for this specific customer over that specific lane. And then to the right of that, we have our actual output. This is our forecasted values. This is the whole reason the 360 box would use this tool. This is going to show them which months out of the year we believe a customer will be moving freight on a future contract.
Yeah, so like Grayson just mentioned, that Winters method tool is definitely going to help enhance the 360 box team's ability to see the seasonality of customers that they have a lot of historical data or sufficient data on. However, that tool isn't really able to give much, if any, insight into the seasonality of customers that might be new to JB Hunt or that they don't really have a lot of data on. So in order to provide the 360 box team with a tool for those new customers, we went ahead and analyzed the historical data that they gave to us to help identify any noticeable or statistical trends in customer seasonality based on two different attributes. Those included the commodity type being shipped, and whether or not it was the or falls into the food, farm, or beverage category, as well as the specific origin and destination pairs broken up by the 5 different regions that JB Hunt recognizes across the US. So to start this, we went ahead and created a combined data set that included all orders that shipped one of the commodity types that I mentioned earlier, as well as their origin and destination regions, so that we could use that for any further analysis. So with that data set, we went ahead and ran a one-way ANOVA test or an analysis of variance test, as well as a Tukey HSD test to determine if the total number of orders per category were in some months statistically different than others. So that one-way ANOVA test compares the means of each month's total number of orders through analysis of overall variance, and then reports if any of those means are significantly different. Whereas the Tukey HSD test compares the mean of each monthly pairing, separating them into groupings of statistical likeness, where any significant peak or valley months are then determined as having the highest or lowest average number of orders, while not sharing a grouping with a majority of other months. So this example on the right of this slide shows some seasonal insights for orders that shipped the beverage commodity type. As you can see, it looks like the months of March and July both have significantly increased volume of beverage commodity shipped, while November shows a significantly decreased volume. And along with that, the graph to the right of that shows a visual display of the volume moved per month of the beverage commodity type. And those trends do seem to follow the outcome of the Tukey HSD test as well.
Yeah, so although compliance has been a pretty consistent issue within 360 Box since its creation, there's currently no modeling tool available for predicting it. According to our primary point of contact, Matt Turner, while some longtime customers have developed a sort of reputation for either being traditionally high or traditionally low compliant, a lot of that information is passed along through tribal knowledge. As Parker kind of mentioned earlier, this can be pretty inconsistent, and it really doesn't take into account that customers might have changing tendencies over time. So for customers that JB Hunt does not have that kind of insight with, we were told that 70% compliant is considered to be a pretty safe estimate. So to show the accuracy of our random forest regression model, we illustrated the 2018 and 2019 trailer balance percent error against both a 70% and 100% compliant assumption for the OH market. So as you can see, with a 40.3% error, our model was more than 10% more accurate than either of the other two options. So this tool also has the ability to take into account changes in customer behavior over time, just because it is kind of run and utilizes recent historical customer data. So it's always updating and always changing.
Yeah, so as Jacob just talked about, we wanted to find a way to quantify any potential impact that specifically our random forest model could have on the 360 box system. So in order to find a dollar amount for any potential savings, with the help of our industry partners, we created a hypothetical situation for market OH, and that's shown here on the screen. So essentially, we chose 3 possible markets that could supply trailers to an understocked OH market in an attempt to restock it throughout the year. So as shown in the table on the left, The 3 origin markets we chose included Indianapolis, Indiana, Howard, Pennsylvania, and Petersburg, Virginia. We then found the lane distance, or the number of miles between the origin market and market OH, as well as a specific dollar per mile cost for each of those lanes. It is important to note, however, these dollar per mile costs were assigned based on recommendation from one of our industry partners, Matt Turner. However, they are not based on any historical data, as this is just a hypothetical scenario. So after gathering all of the information in the table on the left and using those predictions for overall market balance in 2018 that Jacob just mentioned, we went ahead and calculated the hypothetical rebalancing costs for each prediction method across those 3 different lanes. So the outcome of this analysis is shown in the graph on the right. The cost of rebalancing based on our random forest model's predictions for market OH is shown by the green bars for each of those lanes. And as you can see, it is the lowest rebalancing cost across all 3 of them. So for this example, our model did consistently perform better than the other 2 prediction methods and reduced overall costs for JB Hunt in this hypothetical scenario.
Yeah, so by providing our random forest model, we hope to help JB Hunt better understand expected customer compliance by predicting expected customer orders on award fulfilled. This can provide the team with more insights when pricing and awarding loads to designated customers. And after presenting our random forest model to our industry partners, they mentioned this being most applicable to their data team, given that they can best utilize this code and possibly improve it to better align with their current processes. So currently, this model is based on a recent extract of relevant data and exists in both R code and Python, as previously mentioned. For future use, we think it will be valuable to connect this model to a 360box centralized database, allowing for live and real-time predictions in the future.
So the Winner's Method tool that I discussed earlier is a tool that our team was able to build in 360box, and our contacts at 360box were a big fan of the tool, and they were able to see how it could impact their business. So in order for it to be the most impactful, we developed transition files that included some information about the tool and how best we see to implement it. We included information on the forecast itself, Winner's Method, why do we choose it, how do you use it, some information on the tool itself in Excel, how can they be using that Excel tool, and then some data requirements and limitations. Like we mentioned earlier, if a customer does not have much history with 360box, this tool is not going to draw great insights for them. And then we wanted to draw just the future direction of the tool. What do we see this tool looking like for 360box? We know how comfortable they are with Microsoft Power BI. Do we see this tool being translated from Excel to Power BI? This allows it to be connected to a live data source. That way the outputs and the insights are always up to date and current. And also being a dashboard, this makes it more user-friendly and reduces the chance of user error. And finally, this optimization of alpha, beta, and gamma that I mentioned before can happen automatically in the background. And I now have the honor to pass our presentation to one of our contacts from 360box, Matt Turner, as he walks us through some of the impacts of these tools.
Thanks, guys. So quick introduction. My name is Matt Turner. I'm a logistics engineer at JB Hunt. I have been at the company almost 3 years and have been with the box engineering team for a little over 1 year. And I work mostly with the pricing team. And I'll pass it over to Alyssa real quick for her to introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Alyssa Daniel. I've been at JB Hunt for about 2 years, and I've been with 360box engineering for about a year, like Matt has. And I work mainly with the network operations team. I'll pass it back over to Matt.
All right, so this team has done a really good job dealing with some pretty tough data to make some advances in an area of analytics that we haven't made too much progress in the past. Specifically, like where we think we can use this is just looking at this view right here. This can help our pricing team specifically look at one, seasonality at a specific customer, to better price based on how price fluctuates throughout the year, based on how we think the market's going to go and just how normal seasonality price fluctuates, especially if we were planning on pricing something, the same for the whole year, we can fluctuate that if we know their peak is coming at a certain time of year. And then really importantly, from a balance perspective, as far as compliance, this can be really helpful if we know we have a bunch of awarded lane or volume in a lane, but we know that compliance is going to be really low, while otherwise we may think, oh, we're set in this lane for this balance in the future. We may know we actually need to go out and win more volume in that lane because we know these compliance historical compliance numbers may not match up as well as we may have thought. So we will be imbalanced in the future. So that'll really help us understand what lanes we need to attack. And we can price more aggressively if we feel like we need to win something, or if we're going to be overstuffed in this lane, we can price, really not aggressively and really have high margin on it. And if we're going to win it, it really makes it be worth it to us. So that can really help out our pricing team. From the engineering side, this can really help us model out that predicted balance in the future. That's something that we've toyed around with in the past, and just without any sort of standardized forecast for this, there's just too much variance in those numbers for anybody to have any trust in it to make this. And if we can add in that confidence in these numbers, maybe we can really help our teams make those decisions in the future for how to make sure we are balanced. And then lastly, I want to take all this information and go and talk to our data science team, see how they feel these techniques can tie into our current data stream, and then even if some ideas like this could go into different units, if it could be applicable across which way, because I know this has been looked at in other business units and really not much progress has been made. So hopefully we can take this, add it into our current data stream, get us a view, similar to what we have here in front of our pricing team's eyes, to give them as much information as possible for them to make their data-driven decisions. And so again, great job by this team, and I'll pass it back to them to wrap up.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. So as you've heard, for the past 30 minutes or so, we've had the pleasure of getting to know JB Hunt and their 360 box service, learning the ins and outs of the trucking industry, and also helping 360 box to address their concern of balancing trailer flow between markets by helping them predict customer compliance and seasonality on the awarded freight. We did this, as we've discussed, using various data analytics techniques, as well as forecasting and modeling techniques that we not only picked up in our undergrad experience, but also from outside sources. So it's been a great experience getting to learn new things as well as apply what we've learned over the past 4 years. We've also been successful in not only helping them address the issue of balance, but we've also helped to assess or assign some cost savings to these balance issues as well. So not only helping them ensure that they have enough capacity to meet customer demand, but also hopefully saving money in the process. And then, as Matt just said, not only are we helping them to save money and address the issues of imbalance in the system, but also just providing other teams within JB Hunt as much information as possible to help make those informed data-driven decisions in the future. So once again, thank you all for coming to our presentation today. This team's worked really hard over the past year, very proud of them. And big thank you to our industry partners. It's been a great experience, but for right now, we'll turn it over to questions if the audience has any. So.